Hi, Gary Stearman. Today I'd like to deal with a question about Gog of the land of Magog. That's right, Ezekiel 38. And I have a letter here from Larry. And Larry, without reading your whole letter, and I appreciate your question, it deals with, I think, an important subject. Ezekiel 38 and 39 talk about 7 years of burning enemy weapons for fuel. And he's talking about, if that is the case, this really can't be within the period of the 7-year tribulation because it wouldn't work out, prophetically speaking. Therefore, he's suggesting that the war occurs sometime before the tribulation to allow for 7 years of burning weapons for fuel, and meaning that probably something like 3.5 years or maybe a little more might be the time of the invasion of Israel. Well, Larry, you're not the first to speculate on that using that very same logic. I have a couple of things to say. First, Ezekiel 38 talks about Gog, the land of Magog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And let me just say, in my opinion, that's speaking of Russia. It's speaking of the area that incorporates old Meshech, today's Moscow, used to be called Muscovy, and the region in Siberia called Tobolsk, or that ancient region, taken together would be the Russian Empire as we see it today. Now, what's interesting about this is that we have all kinds of action cropping up in Russia. Vladimir Putin is no pacifist, and he's dealing directly with the Iranians, with the Ayatollah Khamenei, with Hassan Rouhani, with the Iranian government, and of course the big thrust in Iran now is nuclear weapons. They want nuclear weapons. They want to be part of the global power structure, and they're, by the way, achieving that at a rather rapid rate. And not only that, but Iran is the power behind Hezbollah, lying to the north of Israel, and ISIS, lying to the north and east. And by the way, ISIS has joined with the Palestinian Liberation Group in Gaza. And so we have this huge collection of powers in the Middle East, and a little, if you will, the hand of the puppeteer coming from the north. Vladimir Putin is the great enabler. Having said that, let me read Ezekiel 39, referring to the burning of the weapons that Larry is asking about. And this is 39:9 of Ezekiel, and they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields, bucklers, bows and arrows, handstaves, spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. So that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forests, for they shall burn the weapons with fire. They shall spoil those that spoiled them and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord God. And you might say, well, they're not burning wood in Israel anymore. They're burning oil and gas. So maybe this prophecy is outmoded. Well, it's not. Prophetic language always deals with what the prophets understood to be true when they received this prophecy. And in fact, there is now new technology involving plasma physics that will enable the burning of weapons. All kinds of weapons, no matter what they're made out of, can be burned within the confines of a plasma generator and turned into power, electricity. Yeah, you can power generators with weapons using new technology recently discovered. And so this is quite a believable prophecy for me. And it, by the way, echoes the words of Zechariah, whom I believe to be talking about the very same event in Zechariah 12, starting in verse 5. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts, their God. In that day will I make the governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, like a torch of fire in a sheaf, and they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand, on the left. Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem, suggesting a latter-day war in which the quote-unquote governors of Judah are phenomenally successful in winning the war. They'll be like a hearth of fire, a torch of fire in a sheaf. Now, the governors of Judah uses a term that is today used of military leaders, eluf or elufim, meaning in the Hebrew language, a lieutenant colonel. That is the leader of ground forces, referred to here in Zechariah 12:6 as, quote unquote, the governors of Judah. Now, back to the question that Larry poses. If these weapons are to be burned 7 years, then Israel is persecuted in the middle of the tribulation, basically driven underground, as we read in Revelation 12. They wouldn't be around to burn weapons for 7 years, and so they have to start sometime before that 7-year period, meaning then that the wars spoken of by Ezekiel and by Zechariah have to start sometime prior to the tribulation. At least 3.5 years, maybe more than 3.5 years. There are a number of very reliable biblical expositors who have said the very same thing, Larry, and they agree. That being the case, the catching away of the church, if we assume that it occurs prior to the battle in the Middle East, the Great Northern Invasion, would have to come at least 3.5 years before the tribulation. So the rapture would then happen a long time before the tribulation, maybe 4 years before. There's absolutely no way to know. And so the tribulation, being 7 years in length, and the burning of weapons being 7 years in duration, couldn't be simultaneous events. They have to occur in an offset fashion to allow prophetic developments to take place as the Bible gives them. So, Larry, I would agree with your basic premise that the battle described by Ezekiel, described by Zechariah, has to take place. It has to begin at least 3.5 years prior to the tribulation, maybe more. And I'm not the only one. A number of very reputable and reliable biblical expositors have said the very same thing. Thanks for your question. Have a great day in the Lord. And by the way, keep watching. We are. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.